Okay. So we've got a lot of dead space, but hopefully still enough resources around for 6 people. It is a bit of a chaotic map. There are a lot of hills. It is not going to be a simple process. Excuse me, getting buildings placed this time. But I see some stuff that's probably usable, at least. Yeah. It's kind of an awkward map. It's a difficult map. It's a hard map. I understand. Nobody likes it. Also, this is going on. So just something to be aware of. Obviously, very, very powerful tiles. Let's see. I would have loved to find a spot to throw down scientific, but I'm not seeing great stuff for that. So instead... Alright, yep. Somebody else took that general area that I was thinking about. Maybe we just do this. Maybe this is okay.
You must be a rather skilled researcher yourself. I couldn't have found a more promising site even with all my years of experience. Shall we
So I should not have sold carbon already. I think I'm getting this tile. Yeah, I have this tile, which is nice. That's why I went ahead and took that tile.
Scientific colony founded.
And let's go ahead and sell down a little steel and buy a little aluminum. That means we need 2 shipments of aluminum to get upgraded, which is maybe a bit more than we should need. We should have bought into 2 more buys worth of aluminum. So we have 60, so now we just need 1 shipment. I think that's the correct amount for where we're at this game. So we've got decent water nearby, but not much else besides the iron we already established. We're not going to have access to those adjacent geotherms down here, which is why it might have been tempting to found in kind of these awkward spots these other 2 scientists did. It certainly would have been more straightforward, if nothing else. We might go for 2 aluminum again this game. Aluminum's a bit expensive in this early stage, and I think that might be usable.
I've never seen such elegant use of funds.
So we can go ahead and maybe do some of that. We sell down steel at this point, and we're going to try and get into farms, basically, is what we'll be looking for. Energy vault would be pretty nice. We can go reasonably hard on that. We probably won't end up with it because we have more debt than almost everybody else in the game, as per usual, but we'll try and make it work and see what we can do. 20 is as high as we push. We're going to let it go at 24 plus, so we do not have Energy Vault this game. Clark is going to have it. It's a bit early for the Energy Vault patent. If that were 1 day later, people would be fighting all over that completely. Like, that could have gone for 28,000 or more, potentially, if it were a day later. And power were more expensive, but it's not. It's not. So it's not a huge saver like it could have been. So I think we are the first ones to get farms down. They are exposed, unlike this guy's farms. Something to be concerned about, but still probably okay. We're going to go ahead and grab an adrenaline boost and then just sit on it. For the time being, it's pretty cheap, which is why we're grabbing it now. And let's see, we're going to need to think about silicon way out there. That we can kind of use. Whoa, Asimov. Okay, Asimov's down there, so I guess I can understand why he's got his stuff where he does. Still a bit of an awkward spot. So we need 40 glass, right? And then we're going to need to use that glass to upgrade, and then we'll be looking at... Well, I think we need 50 glass. Let's buy into 50 glass. There we go. That'll allow us to get down a 3rd farm, if we would like to, which I think we probably will want to. As we can see, farms are very effective. Then we're going to need silicon. We're going to need a lot of silicon, unfortunately. So we should be ready for that, and potentially ready to actually take a couple of silicon tiles. It's going to be a possibility. There's also the possibility that we end up scrapping out of our steel and potentially throwing down the power there. Could be an option. Let's grab a goon squad, so we've got both of those, and now we're just kind of waiting still. We can upgrade, and we should. We'll throw down a farm. Throw down a farm. Do we just take a couple of silicon way out here? These 2 silicon are already getting taken. We might have to take a pass on it this game. And just try to put down, like, even just a couple solar panels next to us. Just here, and then we'll try and get to another one. It's going to be a bit of a pain, but... And not commit heavily to power, not make a huge power play. This guy's already got this geotherm, so but just enough of a play on power that it kind of works. Here comes our food, which is important. No pirates available this game, which is also important. We're leaving the steel up, which I'm fairly comfortable with. We don't really want to be making glass right now. We'll go ahead and start this construction. This claim would be pretty huge. Pretty huge. Claims are obviously really, really good. They're claims. Doesn't really require a whole lot of explanation. We cannot push too hard, though, because we are already at kind of an average stock rating, and so I think we're going to have to let it go over to somebody else. Wells can afford this, potentially. He's got an A stock rating. Basically, all this debt will put him just a bit past us in terms of debt once it's all said and done, so it's an understandable move on his part. Now, the question is, how many people successfully got into farms? I think just the one. He's about to get a big shipment, but he doesn't have it yet. So maybe what we go ahead and do is we try and toss out an adrenaline boost and we grab another one. Alright, who tried to break our stuff? Clark tried to break our stuff. Well, it's understandable. We don't really want to hit Clark back because he's not really in our way. We could attack here, but we don't know if he's defended himself or not. I'm tempted just to hold this for the time being, actually. So we're doing a good job getting through upgrades.
Scientific colony expanded.
Silicon's pretty expensive. That's a lot of scientists expanding right in a row. We should be able to upgrade fairly soon. An electronics shortage. That's interesting. We'll go ahead and buy into that. That was maybe a bit too much because we do have a scavenger this game. 2 scavengers this game, actually. But it could still work out for us all right as just kind of a little boost. We can upgrade. Let's go ahead and do it. I want an engineering lab before long, and then I have 3 claims besides an engineering lab. Another option is to go for a patent lab first, and try to pick up carbon scrubbing, and get into some kind of carbon-based resource. Steel has just gotten super expensive. Maybe what we do is we drop a steel mill there. That could be okay. Maybe a little power here, because power is super expensive for the moment. Grab a goon squad. Might even boost our power at some point. I don't know if that would be the best idea, but it could work. Steel's going okay. And then we want like a patent lab, potentially. Food's still only okay. It's not great at this point because we've been producing enough of it. But I think I do want this patent lab. I think that's what I want out of all this stuff. I want the patent lab. And I could actually head for superconductor fairly easily. We're also paying off a lot of debt. We're not making money, of course. But we are successfully paying off a lot of debt with all of this power generation we have. So we're still in a pretty okay spot. Carbon has gone completely nuts, and I have no idea why. I think Bradbury is just not collecting oh no, he is collecting carbon. There it is. Who's not? You guys are both collecting carbon. You've just managed to drive the price insane. Which is kind of special in a lot of ways. And we have this one claim left, and I'm not sure what to do with it. EMP is not going to hurt very badly. That is just fine. Oh, seriously? Oh, man. Come on. This is why I'm building a patent lab right now. This is why, is carbon scrubbing. This is why I built a patent lab. This is the entire reason. Okay, we got it. So I'm actually going to just get rid of the patent lab and move straight into an engineering lab. And then I'm going to throw down, I think, it's going to be electronics or chemicals. Both of them are kind of good, but I think chemicals is the better option. We're going to just start trying to get chemicals down, and we're going to try and push for an upgrade. Oh, that's awful. I mean, it's kind of okay because we got it, and our debt wasn't terrible because of everything else we've done this game, but man, I was not ready for that. We're still not in a great spot because we would have liked to take some of this silicon. We can see silicon's doing fantastic, which is exactly what we expected this game. Whoa, Marsquake! Marsquake, by all the things, I was not prepared. Okay, let's wait. Cell. Okay, we were late to the cell on the aluminum in particular. That's unfortunate. Let's go ahead and start upgrading chem production. Not particularly good short term, but long term it might work out. We do have the option of moving into iron. And I don't see anybody else having moved into iron yet. So I think I'm going to go ahead and make that happen. Herbert has a terrifying amount of money. We're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to make this happen. because iron is just that valuable right now. Water is also doing nicely, but we already kind of have food down, so we're just trying to work with that. This solar flare. All right, we're going to go ahead and hit this adrenaline boost with this solar flare, and watch this. 5,000 a second on power is what we're looking at right now. 5,000 a second on power because of this solar flare. It's dropping rapidly, right? I mean, look at power's price just fall constantly. But that's almost exactly what we needed to stay in this game fairly effectively. That'll let us get into a lot more chem production very easily, and then we even have 3 claims left over that we could commit to electronics and just abuse this carbon scrubbing that we have. We do want another engineering lab at some point. We might just plant it next to this one. Adrenaline boosts are kind of expensive. Let's grab a power surge just so we're using the black market. Always want to be using the black market if you can. And actually, power is completely dead. Maybe we just build the engineering lab here. We go to this engineering lab. We make sure we're continuing to upgrade chems. Chems are expensive, but we upgrade chems because we want chems to, like, it's okay long term. Let's just leave it at that. It's okay long term. So these 2 solar panels are generating me 10 power together right now. A little nuts, just a little bit. A new claim would be excellent. We could definitely use a new claim. Would love a new claim in a lot of ways. We're going to get away. Nope, not going to quite get away with it. Everybody else was going for stock purchases. I thought we might be able to slip in and be okay, but it was not quite meant to be. 12,000. We're just trying to push through and really get to use... Oh, that sucks. Not the end of the world, honestly, because we could have moved those back into steel, potentially, but it still kind of sucks. Do we let it go for 20,000? Yeah, I think that's okay. We would have really liked it, but hard to do all that math on the fly right now. So the electronics is making us 130. The power is not doing anything all of a sudden. The chems are really strong, though. Bradbury is concerning me in his setup right now. So maybe we target him, shut down what we can. It's not great, but it's something. Herbert's like, oh, I got it. Yeah, you did. Good job. Okay, here comes our chems back online, which is very nice. Let's make sure we've got all these chem upgrades queued up that we need. There we go. Because we're gonna finish up 1, and so we need to make sure we have 2 queued up for when that finishes, because we're also finishing this engineering lab on up. So that's very nice for us. Okay. Now we need to get into the stock market quite aggressively. We're gonna start with ourselves, because nobody is really all that close to a buyout right now. So we're just kind of defending ourselves. Let's look at Offworlds. Offworlds are going to be an option at some point in this game. That's going to be something to watch out for, is an Offworld market. But we want to secure a fair amount of our own stock right now, and we want to be producing a lot of chems right now. So Clark is in a bad spot, and Bradbury is the one going after him. So we're just going to keep shutting down Bradbury the best that we can. Gonna go ahead and buy 1 more goon squad. That was a bit expensive, but I think it'll be worth it if somebody targets that tile in particular. So the power's really not doing much, but I'm scared to get out of it. Okay, nobody didn't target that tile. They targeted a free tile. No big surprise. Thankfully, we are scientific. It does not shut us completely out, the fact that that happened. Okay, like this one chem lab is still amazing. There goes 1 more chem production cleaned up. Let's start on electronics now. Fairly obvious thing next is just these high-level resources that we can very easily go ahead and abuse. And we are going to start attacking at this point. We can go after Bradbury and we can go after Asimov. Asimov might be the better target because he is trying to move so hard into Bradbury. This is a very complicated game, though, with an awful lot going on. And I'm not doing a good job keeping up with all of it, so a lot of power there. That's not really all that good. These tiles are really coming down, and we might need to move out of them before long. But I think we're in a decent spot just going after Asimov right now. Okay, more shutdown on a lot of our stuff, but that's more or less okay. We could grab an adrenaline boost, and it might be worthwhile on these chems in particular. Let's see, I'm going to grab a network virus, actually, just so I've got it. Pirates are interesting. We're getting hit by a lot of black market. No big surprise. We did attack 2 people, which is a really good way to get hit by black market heavily. So that's kind of my fault. We'll go pretty hard on these pirates. We're not looking to make money off power anytime soon, and our debt is okay. It's not great, but we have a lot of people in C debt. So maybe it's alright. Alright. Let's just hit more chem production at this point, for all I care. Like, it's about to be nighttime. Okay, pirates landed where? Down there. Okay, that's just fine. They're not targeting us, which is what's most important. It looks like they might be intercepting chem production. Is that what that was? Yeah, that's chem production they're going after. It's frozen chem production, so... But that's interesting. Is it also intersecting? No, it's not also intersecting. Okay, just chem production, it looks like. We're still after Asimov. 233 is what we're after. At this point for the buyout, we should be able to get there, I think. It's just all this chem production that we're sitting on right now. It's pretty massive. We're actually going to hold off on upgrades for the moment while we push to this buy. So much more black market. We're forcing him to pay down debt, which is good. But he wasn't quite fast enough. That's a buy. That's very, very strong. Now, some of our chems over here are shut down. Now, what's actually fantastic is look at these pirates right now and all they're going to accomplish. It's not very much, guys. It's just not very much. Unfortunately, that was an HQ level 4. Let's see. We need to make sure these are operational again. Chems are pretty cheap. Let's get those electronics finished upgrading. Going to use that carbon scrubbing. And we just need 240,000 plus whatever. We're going to buy just a little bit of our own stock. A little bit more. We're going to have 6 of our own stock secured. Should be a decent amount. Okay. Reactors are going strong. We have this food up here, which is fantastic. We just have a lot of very strong tiles now, except for this iron that I really should have turned into steel a long time ago. There we go. Fixed it. It's okay now. And we're still sitting on only 2 engineering labs. It would be nice to get to another one, which would be a reason to upgrade. But I don't know if upgrading is quite the right call. What we can do is actually just scrap this aluminum tile and hit another engineering lab. There we are.
Yeah.
Stock's getting sold. We'll buy up that last little bit because our stock is starting to turn a little bit rainbow colored. And it would be nice to avoid that in a lot of ways. Okay, Bradbury got to the buy. That's going to make it far more expensive to finish our buy. Chems are also coming way down. So we need to turn these off because chems are actually bad at this point. And I think we can afford to move all of these into electronics production for the moment. And that should be just fine. Electronics is fully upgraded. We are going to upgrade food next. And all of that's very, very cheap. So in fact, what we're going to do is start, not oxygen, we're going to start fuel upgrade after that. There we go. And we're not going to worry about water for now. 360 is the new goal to buy out Bradbury. I think that is definitely our target. Is going to be Bradbury. So after that, who's the biggest problem? Herbert, we still can't see because of that bug. Okay, 150. So Herbert looks like he's the stronger player afterward. Is what we're looking at right now. So we're going to go ahead and grab an EMP and run right into a goon squad. Unfortunate. Up to 200,000 debt. That's pretty high, but we've got the buy that we really wanted onto Game Slayer, so we're still in a great spot. 7 engineering labs available now. Let's make sure they are active. I think we're pulling in some water now after that acquisition. Are we pulling in water? These are turned off. Well, that's understandable. They're actually pretty bad. We have silicon coming in, which is nice. Do we have water coming in anywhere? I thought we did. Yeah, we have 2 water pumps down. We have 2 water pumps down, so that's okay. We're doing all right. And I think we're in a pretty good spot to go ahead and clean this up with our 7 reactors. Sorry, our 7 engineering labs. I don't even know what the discussion going on is. The PD was chugging it. And Dynamite is actually in the game. And we're 3K. Oh, the Pleasure Dome.
The black market is on.
I have a Pleasure Dome. Where was the Pleasure Dome? Where is the Pleasure Dome? Where's my Pleasure Dome? It's not there. It's not there. There it is. 388. That's not particularly good. Okay. We could throw out an upgrade. Not really looking to do that. Let's upgrade this silicon. And then glass. That's all fine. We'll take Wells over, which was the wrong target. We should have just saved up for Herbert, because he's actually dangerous at 553,000 cash. But I make bad decisions quite frequently. We all know this, so don't be surprised when I do something stupid like that. Let's go ahead and get a mine down there. Water is still looking kind of awkward in a lot of ways. We've upgraded it significantly, but it hasn't been quite enough yet. Because we've got farms. These farms... Why are some of my farms telling me they're consuming water? Where are my farms that are actually consuming stuff? I wonder. Oh, here. Here are farms that are consuming stuff. I think we're still making enough that we're going to be okay. We only need 518 to clean this up, but still. Can someone please arrange a match with Soren? I'll let these guys finish their talking before I finish it up. I think I can at any point now. And beat him 10 out of 10 is scientific. I think Soren understands some of scientific right now. I should have gone for thinking machines instead of superconductors. That might have been a good option for him. Alright. We can't quite clean it up yet. Actually, I think he paid down a lot of debt. Or something. But the game is still over. Basically whenever we decide it to be. Bit of an awkward game. There were a lot of little errors in there. But it was a big game with a lot of strong players. And we were the ones that were first able to upgrade that and get into chems, it felt like. So that kind of snowballed it for us. Combined with... we sat back and we watched the stock market for a little while. It was one of those awkward situations where nobody was quite being aggressive enough or falling out of the game fast enough that they needed to... There needed to be a shutdown, like an instantaneous reaction to what was going on in the stock market, right? That didn't exist. Instead, what existed was the situation where people were kind of starting to get into the stock market because they ran out of other things to do, is what it felt like. And they needed to commit their money somewhere and try and make purchases happen, but no one was anywhere close to getting to a purchase for a long time, is basically my point. And so we sat back and we bought up half of our own stock. And this is kind of what I like to do these days, is buy up half my stock when I'm in that kind of situation. And then we attacked a player. Right? And we were fairly confident we weren't going to get attacked back most of the time. Not in an effective fashion, because we had half of our stock already secured. And on top of that, we were going to go after Gameslayer directly, aka, who was it? Green. We were going after Green/Gameslayer directly at first. Then we saw Omar Little was also trying to make stock buys happen, so we just attacked the guy who was getting aggressive, right? It's that simple. Anyone tell me I sound like Solar Gamer? No, I haven't heard that yet. But anyways, that's not one I've heard yet. I've heard a bunch of other things, but some of them have been quite ridiculous, and I don't remember what all of them are. Back to the point. So we go after Omar because he's going after Gameslayer, and we wanted to go after Gameslayer. Like, that was the goal of buying Omar at all, was going after Gameslayer. And eventually we were able to make that work because Omar had half of Gameslayer's stock secured, and I think, like Gameslayer has pointed out in chat here, as Gameslayer pointed out in chat here, he just needs to buy himself more. If he had been in a position where he had bought a lot more of his own stock, we would not have easily taken him over by just buying somebody who had bought him. So, anyways, we apparently made 61,000 off the Pleasure Dome for the duration we had it. How much did Gameslayer make off of it? 179,000 off that Pleasure Dome. He built 3, apparently. Whatever. Confident I could survive long enough to buy out Omar. Yeah. I can understand that thought process. But given that I was the one that owned most of Omar for the duration of that, it didn't quite work out. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That does count rebuilding. Okay, that's what I figured. Okay. Sorry, a lot of discussion going on in chat at this point for the YouTube viewers. That's what's happening. So I'm trying to keep up with all of it. It can be a bit interesting. But okay, it was another decent win for us. I suppose we can check tech. I obviously had too much, right? 27 tech as opposed to 8 for Yuzzo, 12 for Gameslayer. So Gameslayer was actually doing a real good job on tech. He had carbon, he had chems, and he had glass, and all of those were solid. I think the real turning point that game was kind of this super awkward spot where I went after... I was building a patent lab, right? It was at like 38 out of 40. Specifically to get carbon scrubbing, because I knew that was going to be my plan going forward in this game based on what was happening, was I wanted carbon scrubbing. And I had known that for a while. And then the auction pops. And I think if I had been pressed much harder on that, I would have had a much harder time winning that game. But I was already pressed pretty hard. I don't remember exactly what I paid, but I think it was in the 30,000s for carbon scrubbing. And so I got it instantly, and I didn't get a lot of benefit out of that, but it did let me move into my engineering labs, in particular, a bit faster. So what could have been a serious problem in not acquiring carbon scrubbing due to that auction ended up being a massive boost and let me kind of accelerate through the rest of that game fairly handily. Okay. Let's do another.